Recorded Books and One Click Digital present The Prodigy's Cousin, the family link between autism and extraordinary talent, by Joanne Ruthsatz and Kimberly Stephens. Narrated by Christina Moore. Introduction. This story begins on the back roads of a swampy Louisiana town. That's where, in 1998, a young couple were raising their 6-year-old son, a child with round cheeks, thin lips, and a peculiar knowledge of jazz musicians. That spring, Joanne Ruthsatz, then a psychology graduate student, took a 30-some-hour train ride from Sandusky, Ohio, to New Orleans, rented a car, and drove through the bayou to the couple's small, clapboard home. She'd come all that way to see the boy, Garrett James. Throughout this book, we use the names and describe the lives of real children. Garrett James is an exception. Garrett's story is based on that of an actual child, but to protect his identity, we've used a pseudonym and obscured the details of his development. The child's actual accomplishments are even greater than those described here. Hard to imagine, we know. Garrett James looked like a typical little kid. Medium build, tow-headed, and light-eyed. He loved trucks, spoke with a southern drawl, and listened politely when his parents introduced him to Miss Joanne. But he was definitely not typical. As a toddler, Garrett had crafted musical instruments out of household goods. Spoons, keys, the vent in the wall, anything he could get his tiny hands on. His aunt gave him a toy guitar for his 2nd birthday, and he stunned his parents when he used it to recreate songs he heard on the radio. His parents bought him a real, child-sized guitar a few months later. Garrett practiced during the day. He practiced at night. He scampered to his instrument at every opportunity, held it while chatting with his parents, and strummed during breaks in the conversation. Music pulsed through the house. Eventually, Garrett's parents asked their son to practice in the basement. Garrett's love for music, his need for music, exploded from somewhere within him, charged through his fingertips, and burst into the world. At 4 years old, he performed in the family's yard, fronted a local band, and fielded invitations to play at music festivals and fairs. At one of these festivals, Garrett played in front of tens of thousands of fans. Physically, he was a speck on a sweeping stage. His famous adult co-star had to crouch down to approach eye level. When he played, though, a raucous, wholehearted number punctuated by foot-tapping and hip-swinging, he swallowed up the empty space. Little boy became music powerhouse. Over the next 2 years, Garrett performed on a jazz album, in a movie, and on TV talk shows. All without ever having taken a formal music lesson, and all before his 7th birthday. Garrett was a fascinating kid, but at that point Joanne's visit was a lark. She was within spitting distance of her PhD. She just wanted to see if a theory she'd been working on could account for Garrett's abilities. For most of Joanne's graduate school career, she'd been studying exceptional adult and teenage performers, trying to parse out what separates the successful from the less so. The nature versus nurture debate rubbed her the wrong way. Surely both have a role to play in expertise. She had been working on a new theory, one based on the idea that at least 3 factors have a role in success: general intelligence, practice time, and skills specific to a particular field. Others had argued for the importance of each of these factors. It was the combination of the 3 that was novel. She had already taken her theory for a test drive and found some supporting evidence. College-level musicians scored higher on all 3 factors than high school musicians, who were presumably less expert. They outwitted them on the IQ test, more successfully picked out changes in tone and rhythm, skills specific to their area of expertise, and had logged significantly more practice hours. But could her theory account for the abilities of a child prodigy, one of those rare, preternaturally skilled, scientifically befuddling children who often outperform grown-up musicians, artists, and mathematicians? Joanne thought Garrett, an earnest, wide-eyed guitar phenom,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?